Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. See you again in my class issue in international business. Today our lecture is on issues in regional economic integrations, trading blocks, and global institutions. So what is regional economic integrations? We take a look about definition of regional economic integrations, a refer to agreement between countries in a geographic region to reduce tariff and non-tariff barrier to the free flow of goods, service and factor of production between each group. While regional trade agreements are designed to promote free trade, there is some concern that the world is moving toward a situation in which a number of regional trade blocs compete against each other. So, level of integrations, we have a free trade area, and we have custom unions. We also have common market, and we will have also economic union and a large level of integration we call political unions. So let's take a look one by one. For the first level of integration known as a free trade area. So in a free trade area class, all barriers to the trade of the goods and service among member countries are removed, but members determine their own trade policy with regard to non-members. Examples of a free trade area include European Free Trade Associations. That one is between Norway, Ireland, Liechtenstein, and Switzerland, and Northern America Free Trade Agreements that are between the US, Canada, and Mexico. Now we talk about the second level of integrations. About customer unions. Customer union is one step further along the road to full economic and political integrations and eliminate trade barriers between member countries and adopt a common external trade policy. The adding part is an example of the custom union between Bolivia, Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru. So now we are at the third level of economic integration known as common market. Common market has no barrier to the trade between member countries, a common external trade policy, and a free movement of the factor of productions. Mercosur between Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay is aiming for common market status. Now we are talking about economic unions. So what is economic unions? Economic unions involve free flow of products and factor of production between members and the adoption of the common external trade policy, and in addition a common currency, harmonization of the member countries' tax rates, and a common monetary and fiscal policy. The European Union (EU) is an economic union, although an imperfect one since not all members of EU have adopted the euro, and the difference in the tax rate across countries still remains. Okay, now we talk about political union. The largest level of integration in economic integrations, that is a political unions. Independent states are combined into a single unions. Okay, example here we have EU is a head toward at least partial political unions, and the United States is an example of even closer political unions. So what is the advantage of integrations? Most of the countries in the world do the economic integration because they are looking for the advantages. Here we have regional economic advantages. from the integrations. Regional economic integration is an attempt to achieve additional gain from the free flow of the trade and investment between countries beyond those attainable under international agreements such as the World Trade Organization. For political case for integrations, by linking countries together, making them more independent on each other, and forming a structure where they regularly have to interact, the likelihood of violent conflict and war will decrease. By linking countries together, they have greater clout and are politically much stronger in dealing with other nations. The impediment of the integrations, while a nation as a whole may benefit from the original free trade agreements, certain groups may lose concern over the loss of national sovereignty. Here now we are in the case again regional integrations. So what else? Regional economic integration only makes sense when the amount of the trade is agreed exceeds the amount it diverts. Trade creation occurs when low-cost producers within the free trade are replaced high-cost domestic producers. A trade diversion occurs when high-cost suppliers within the free trade area replaced with lower-cost internal suppliers. Okay, now we are in the missions of the regional economic integration in Europe. So we check for the first point of the missions here, the evolution of the European Union. The United EU is the result of the devastating of two world wars on the Western Europe and the desire for lasting peace. The desire by the European nations to hold their own on the world's political and economic stage. Here's a picture of the European Union's evolutions from early 2004. The number of EU members decreased, and it's changed, some in and some out from the European nations. European United, the forerunner of the EU, was the European Coal and Steel Community, which had the goal of reforming barriers to the trade in charcoal, iron, steel, and scrap metal formed in 1951. The European Economic Committee was formed in 1957 at the Treaty of Rome with the goal of becoming a common market. Political structure of European Unions. The five main institutions of EU are European Council, resolve major policy issues and set policy directions. They also have European Commissions, responsible for implementing aspects of EU law and monitoring member states to ensure they are complying with EU law. The third structure, the Council of European Parliament, the ultimate controlling authority within the EU. And the fourth structure in EU are European Parliament, debate legislation proposed by the Commission and forward to it by the Council, the Court of Justice, the Supreme Appeal Court of EU law. Okay, Single European Act. Single European Act adopted by EU member nations in 1989 1987 committed the EC countries to work toward establishment of single market by December 31st, 1992. The stimulus for the Single European Act. The Single European Act was born out of frustration among EU members that the community was not living up to its promise. Okay, now here we have a lot of objectives of the acts. First, frontier control to remove all the frontier control between EC countries. Mutual recognition of the standard to apply principle of mutual recognition, which is that a standard developed in EC country should be accepted in another, provided it meets basic requirements in such matters as health and safety. Public procurements to open procurement to non-national suppliers. Financial service to lift barrier to competition in retail banking and insurance businesses. Exchange control to remove all restrictions on the foreign exchange transaction between members by end of 1992. Foreign transportation to establish restrictions on sabotage. The right of foreign trucks to pick up and deliver goods within another member's borders by end of 1992. And the last objective here, they have supply side effect should lower the cost of doing business in EU, but the single market program is also expected to have more complicated supplier side effect. Okay, one more. The impact of Single European Act provide impetus for the restructuring of substantial section of European industry, allowing for faster economic growth than would otherwise have been the case. Okay, now we are in the establishment of the euro. Euro is the currency for EU countries. The Treaty of the Maastricht, signed in 1991, committed the EU to adopt a single currency, the euro, by January 1st, 1999. The euro is used by 12 of 25 member states. By adopting the euro, the EU has created the second largest currency zone in the world after that of the US dollar. For now, 3 EU countries, Britain, Denmark, and Sweden, are adopted out of the Eurozone. Euro notes and coins were issued in January 1st, 2002. In the interim, national currencies circulate and were worth a defined amount of euro. Here is some of the country member of Euro country for 2001. We have Austria, Belgium, Bulgaria, Croatia, Republic of Crete, Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, and many more here. Okay, now we move to the benefit and cost of euro. Benefit of euro here, business and individuals should realize significant saving from having to handle one currency rather than many. The second advantage here, the adoption of the common currency will make it easier to compare price across Europe. And the cost of the euro itself create a drawback of a single currency is that nation authorities lose control over the monetary policy. The second cause of euro currency, the Maastricht Treaty called the establishment of an independent European Central Bank (ECB), with a clear mandate to manage monetary policy so as to ensure price stability. The ECB set interest rate and determine monetary policy across the Eurozone. Another drawback of the euro is that the EU is not an optimal currency area, an area where similarities in the underlying structure if the economic activity make it feasible to adopt a single currency and use a single exchange rate as an instrument of the macroeconomic policy. The early experience of Europe. Since its establishment January 1st, 1999, the Europe has had a violent trading history with the US dollar. Initially, the euro fell in value relative to the dollar, but strengthened to a 5-year high of 1.33 in March 2002. Enlargement of European Union. Many countries, particularly from Eastern Europe, have applied for membership in the EU. 10 countries joined on May 1st, 2004, expanding EU to 25 states with population of 450 million people, a single continental economy with a GDP of 11 trillion dollar. Okay, now we move to talk about regional economic integration in the America. Regional economic integration is on the rise in America. Regional integration in America, it shows that NAFTA, we have Mercosur, Andean Community, Central America, and Caribbean Community. The North America Free Trade Agreement (NAFTA) contains the free trade agreements between United States, Canada, and America became law January 1st, 1994. NAFTA abolished tariffs on 99% of the goods traded between Mexico, Canada, and United States, removed most barriers on the cross-border flow of services, protect intellectual property rights, remove most restrictions on FDI between three member countries. NAFTA allows each country to apply its own environmental standards, provided such standards have a scientific base, established two commissions to impose fines and remove trade privileges when environmental standards or legislation involving health and safety, minimum wages, and child labor are ignored. The case of NAFTA. Proponents of NAFTA have argued that it will provide economic gains to all countries. Mexico will benefit from the increased jobs as low-cost production moves south, and it will attain more rapid economic growth as a result. The US and Canada will benefit from the access to a large and increasing prosperous market and from the lower price of the consumer from the goods produced in Mexico. In addition, US and Canadian firms with production sites in Mexico will be more competitive on the world markets. The case against NAFTA. The opponent of NAFTA argue that the job would be lost and wages level would decline in the US and Canada. Mexican workers would immigrate north, pollution would increase due to the Mexico more lax standard. Mexico would lose its sovereignty. The North American Free Trade Agreement (NAFTA) so far impact suggests that both advocate and detractor may have been guilty of the exaggerations. The agreement has helped to create the background of the increased political stability in Mexico. Enlargement of NAFTA, several other Latin American countries have indicated their desire to eventually join NAFTA. Currently, both Canada and the US are adopting a wait-and-see attitude with regard to most countries. Andean Community. Andean's part, originally formed in 1969, was based on European United model. By the middle of the 1980s, the Andean part had more or less failed. In late 1980s, Latin American governments began to adopt free market economics policy. In 1990s, The Eden Pass was relaunched and now operates as a customs union. In 2000, it signed an agreement with Mercosur to restart negotiations toward the creation of the free trade area. Mercosur. Mercosur originated in 1988 as a free trade pact between Brazil and Argentina. In 1990s, it was expanded to include Paraguay and Uruguay. Moscow has been making progress on reducing trade barriers between member states, given some fell high tariffs for goods from other countries, and it appears that in some industries, Merkel is diverting trade rather than creating trades, and local firms are investing in industries that are not competitive on a worldwide basis. Central America Common Market and CARICOM. There are two other trade parts in America. The Central America Trade Market CARICOM neither has made much progress yet. Free trade of American talks began in April 1998 to establish FTAA, Free Trade of the American, by 2005. If the FTAA is established, it will have major implications for cross-border trade and investment flow within the hemisphere. The FTAA will create a free trade area of nearly 800 million people. Regional economic integration as well. Association of the Southern Asian Nations. Association of the Southern Asian Nations formed in 1967. Asian countries include Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and most recent Vietnam, Myanmar, Laos, and Cambodia. The basic objectives of ASEAN are to foster freer trade between member countries and to achieve some cooperation in their industrial policy. In 2003, an Asian Free Trade Asia (AFTA) between the 6 original members of ASEAN came into full effect with a goal of reducing import tariffs among all the members to zero by 2010, and for newer members by 2015. Asian Pacific Economic Cooperation, or we call APEC. APEC currently has 21 members, including United States, Japan, and China. The stated aim of APEC is to increase multilateral cooperation in view of economics, rise of the Pacific nations, and the growing interdependence with the regions. APEC's 21 members economics are Australia, Brunei Darussalam, Canada, Chile, People's Republic of China, Hong Kong, China, Indonesia, Japan, Republic of Korea, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Peru, the Philippines, the Russia, the Federations, Singapore, Chinese Taipei, Thailand, United States of America, and Vietnam. Regional trade bloc in Africa. There are 9 trade blocs on Africa continent, however, progress toward the establishment of the meaningful trade bloc has been shown. The 8 recognized by the EU are EAC, Arab Maghreb Unions, Economic Community of the Central African States, Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD, Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, Community of the Sahara-Saharan States, SANSET, Common Market of Eastern and Southern Africa, COMESA, and the Southern African Development Community, SADC. This is based on the African Community Headquarters, Arusha, Tanzania, June 2020. The implication for managers. The opportunities market that were formerly protected from the foreign competition are opened. The free movement of goods across borders, the harmonization of the product standards, and the simplification of the tax regimes make it possible for firms to realize potential enormous cost economy by centralizing production in those localizations where the mix of factors, cost, and skill is optimal. The implication for managers. Now we talk about trade. The business environment becomes competitive for non-EU and non-North America firms. Challenge arise from the likely long-term improvement in the competitive position of many European and North American companies. There is a risk of being shut out of a single market by creation of the trade fortresses. Firms may be limited in their ability to pursue the strategy of their choice in EU as the EU continues to increase its role in competition policy and intervene and impose conditions on a company proposing mergers and acquisitions. Okay, what is about? Okay, that's all I think about this topic. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Thank you.